The history of Mandalore stretches far beyond the Jedi and the Sith, the light side and the dark, beyond countless lives lived dead piled, beyond prophecy or tragedy, beyond the Galactic Republic itself. It is the birthplace of the galaxy's cruel cycle of violence, the mold of what would come to be just as much as the unstudied, the forgotten. The culture that could have saved everyone, if the galaxy had just been willing to cast aside their prejudices and learn from the mistakes of Mandalore's proud people. This is the story of Mandalore the First. This is the rise of the Mandalorians. Ironically, or perhaps fittingly, this story starts on Coruscant, 7,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. There lived the Taung, an ancient species of humanoids indigenous to the once pastoral world of Coruscant. While their society was mostly nomadic and clan-based, the battle-tested elders of each clan eventually becoming their leaders. Every Taung was ultimately under the rule of the Mandalore, meaning sole ruler in their tongue. Like the Mandalorians of today, the Taung were a civilization steeped in war, and they were warriors before all else. The Mandalorian Code of Honor is almost a direct recreation of the Taung canons of honor, and their god Cad Haringir was one of destruction and change. Yet, even the warmongering Taung had their limits. The Gel, a coalition of 13 human tribes who had also evolved early on in Coruscant's history, refused to fall to the Taung's aggression as all the other species had before them. Thus, with control over the planet at stake, the two waged war for hundreds of years, and when a volcanic eruption brought devastation upon the battalions of Gel and plunged Coruscant into darkness, the Taung used that God-given opportunity to finally subjugate their long-standing rival. But this victory would turn out to be short-lived. Over time, the Taung grew complacent, lost the edge that had driven them to the apex position they occupied, and eventually, the Gel managed not only to win back Coruscant, but drive the Taung from the planet altogether. The Dawerda Verda, the warriors of the Shadow, the prehistoric Mandalorians, had finally met their match. Yet from the ashes of their old civilization rose a greater warrior than had ever existed before. He called himself Mandalore the First, the mightiest leader to ever lead the Taung, the one that, after convincing his fellow Taung to follow him off the planet of Rune, where they had escaped to in the aftermath of their loss to the Gel, located a planet on the Outer Rim, slaughtered the enormous mythosaur who occupied the planet, and claimed it as his own. This planet, named in honor of the Taung's mighty leader, is known as Mandalore.